After a 13-27 season, the Chicago Sky have decided to fire Reese Witherspoon. In the words of Vince McMahon, "You're fired!"
Angel Reese, the self-proclaimed face of women's basketball, goes nuts after total chaos hits Chicago Sky because this so-called girl was supposed to be a season of hope turned into a train wreck so wild, even the most loyal fans couldn't look away. A 13-27 record and broken team chemistry for a city that loves its sports. This wasn't
other teams say I wish we drafted you.
Really?
Yes. Like teams that have drafted that were above me, that the players that got drafted above, and it was nothing against their rookies that got drafted, but they were like, I wish we were teammates. I wish.
Reese Witherspoon, WNBA legend, was supposed to be the one to rebuild this broken franchise, the one who would finally give Chicago a reason to believe again. Yet instead of inspiring a turnaround, her leadership lit all the wrong fires, fueling locker room drama and questionable coaching decisions. And then there was Reese. Her on-court antics and off-court bravado left fans torn between rooting for her and shaking their heads. And
Reese, did she just run a coach out of town, and is she running a player out of town? Their best shooter out of town? Because Kennedy Carter looks like she's ready to book it out of Chicago.
Reese boldly claimed in an interview that in 20 years people would look back at her as one of the reasons women's basketball gained more attention. This isn't just a story of stats and scores. It's about a fan base left in the wreckage of shattered dreams, wondering where it all went so wrong.
Marina Mabrey, she's already flown the coop on this team. And it was, quote unquote, because of culture. Well, what happened to the culture? Who torched the culture? Who's selfish on the team that would cause the culture to melt?
Reese's off-court antics didn't help matters on her podcast. She claimed that several teams who passed on her in the WNBA draft had called to express regret, a statement that was met with widespread skepticism. During a game, her controversial flagrant fall on Caitlin Clark became another lightning rod for criticism. Reese defended the fall as a play on the ball and even insinuated that Clark received special treatment from referees, but video evidence told a different story. Fans on social media were quick to call out her excuses, labeling them embarrassing deflections and pointing to her behavior as a major reason for the team's lack of chemistry.
He talked about Angel Reese. He talked about Cardoso, who I think is going to be a star in the WNBA. But he did not really mention Kennedy Carter at all, and that raised a lot of eyebrows.
Chicago Sky are unraveling faster than their 13-27 record suggests. A team that once promised greatness is now drowning in dysfunction. At the center of the chaos is Angel Reese, whose presence has reportedly turned the locker room into a battlefield. Leadership vanished, culture reduced to ashes, and their best shooter, Kennedy Carter, is already scouting new teams, scoring 17.5 points per game last season, but now seemingly more interested in Twitter polls than playbooks.
Reese is now quoted as saying, "I'll look back in 20 years and be like, yeah, the reason why we're watching women's basketball is not just because of one person." She refuses to say Caitlin Clark's name. "It's because of me too, and I want you to realize."
One veteran player even commented anonymously that it was obvious who Witherspoon was trying to please, and it wasn't the team's young stars like Camila Cardoso who struggled to find consistent roles, and their potential was largely overlooked, signaling that Reese's individual stats seemed more important than the team's overall success. The dysfunction within the team hit new levels when the Sky traded Marina M. Mid-season MB, known for her shooting and defensive skills, was sent to the Connecticut Sun under mysterious circumstances. Although M avoided criticizing the Sky directly, her praise for the Sun's professional environment spoke volumes. She emphasized how players in Connecticut could focus solely on basketball, an apparent dig at the chaos she
The franchise has been an absolute dumpster fire since winning the WNBA championship in 2021. Let's go through some of the names that have left. James Wade, who was the coach and GM, left in the middle of the season last year to go to the NBA.
With players painted a grim picture of the season. Veterans doubted Witherspoon's leadership, while younger players expressed frustration with the lack of clarity and direction of basic team principles, such as maintaining on-court discipline, was often absent by the time the season ended. The fractures within the locker room were impossible to ignore. Now, with Weatherspoon out as head coach, the Sky are left to pick up the pieces of a disaster season. Whether Angel Reese will remain part of their plans is uncertain for now. Her tenure in Chicago serves as a cautionary tale about what happens when individual ambition overshadows team unity. Instead of a fresh start, the Sky got total chaos with Reese standing front and center in the wreckage.
Emma Messman, Courtney Vandersloot, Allie Quigley, Clea Copper was traded, Lazura Stevens. And then this year, after drafting Cardozo and Reese, they were competing for a playoff spot and traded Marina Mabrey, their veteran, before the Olympic.
Kiss Parker, Emma Messman, Courtney Vano, Ollie Quigley Klepper was traded for Stevens, and then this year, after the drafting of Cardo and Reese, they were competing for a playoff spot and traded Marina Mary or veteran before the 40 Olympic break. Clip 9. Carter, the Sky leading scorer and a restricted free agent come January, didn't mince words on social media. She posted, "Y'all be coaches and GMs anyways. Let's see what you think," inviting fans to decide where she should play next. Subtle, the backlash was immediate. Some fans sided with her, blaming Chicago's toxic leadership, while others mocked her for airing dirty laundry like it was an episode of Real Housewives WNBA edition. But Carter isn't the only one out. Marina averaged 15.4 points per game last season but bolted mid-season, citing culture issues. Candace Parker, the team's former superstar, didn't even stick around after their championship win in 2021, opting for greener pastures in Las Vegas. And what about Teresa Weatherspoon? She didn't even last one season as head coach, reportedly losing the locker room by catering to a select few players. Now it's Tyler Marsh's turn to clean up this mess in his recent press conference. Marsh name-dropped Angel Reese.
Focus thus far has been on players who we know are under contract this coming year, and that's where the communication has been thus far.
Meanwhile, isn't helping matters, while her stats, averaging 16.8 points and 10.6 rebounds per game, show she's a force on the court. Her alleged role in locker room tension is hard to ignore. Whispers of favoritism have only deepened the fractures, leaving teammates questioning if the Sky are prioritizing talent over team cohesion. It's clear the Chicago Sky are stuck in freefall. Marsh's refusal to address the Carter situation directly only fuels speculation that the team is ready to cut ties with its most productive player. But if Carter is indeed part of the problem, as her history with the previous team suggests, it's hard to tell whether the guys are rebuilding around talent or just bracing for another implosion. But the focus, thus conclusion.